Imagine this. You decide, hey, I'm just not going to sleep tonight. You tell yourself it's just one night, right? Maybe you're cramming for a huge exam, trying to beat a crazy deadline, or, let's be real, you're just binge watching that new series. Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to map out exactly what happens to your body and brain when you rob them of their absolute most vital reset period. I mean, look at our stickman friend on the screen here, looking completely fine at first. You might think nothing unusual is happening. But the truth, deep inside your body, a biological countdown has already started ticking. So what happens if you just don't sleep? Well, let's dive into it. A lot of people kind of mistakenly think that sleep is just this passive state, like hitting the off switch, where your body rests and literally does nothing. But man, that couldn't be further from the truth. Sleep is an incredibly active biological state. It's this crucial window where your brain is hard at work, clearing out metabolic waste, repairing damaged cells, solidifying your memories, balancing your hormones. I mean, it's basically preparing every single organ in your body for another day. And without sleep, these essential maintenance systems don't just hit pause, they actively begin to fail. To really grasp how intense this gets, we're going to take a chronological descent into sleep deprivation. We're breaking down exactly what goes wrong with your essential systems, hour by agonizing hour. We'll start at the 24-hour mark, push through to 36 and 48 hours, and finally, we're going to look at the extreme, reality-bending effects at 72 hours. So let's see how fast things fall apart. Okay. Hitting the 24-hour mark is genuinely shocking. You've been awake for an entire day and night now. Almost immediately, your reaction time just plummets. Your attention span drops off a cliff, making it insanely difficult to focus on even the most mundane, simple tasks. And here is a crazy fact. Studies actually show that staying awake for 24 hours impairs your judgment and affects your performance almost as much as being legally intoxicated in many countries. Yeah, you heard that right. Your brain is essentially operating under the influence of extreme exhaustion. And it's not just brain fog. Let's look at the specific symptoms hitting you right at 24 hours. Your brain starts struggling immensely to form new memories. You might actually find yourself completely forgetting a conversation you literally just had minutes ago. At the same time, your immune system starts its downward slide, leaving you way more vulnerable to getting sick. Plus, and you'll definitely feel this one, your body triggers a massive spike in cortisol. That's your stress hormone. It's an emergency response, and it's exactly why pulling an all-nighter leaves you feeling so incredibly anxious, wired, and just irritable. All right, pushing past that first full day, we are now entering the 36-hour mark. If you somehow manage to power through that initial 24-hour slump, I promise you, the physical and mental effects at 36 hours are going to be much, much harder to just ignore or push away with another cup of coffee. At 36 hours awake, your internal regulatory systems basically start throwing error codes. Your body really struggles to regulate blood sugar. You're going to feel way hungrier than usual, and that's because the specific hormones that control your appetite are now completely out of whack. And you're not going to want a salad, right? You're going to strongly crave sugary, greasy, fast foods because your brain is desperately screaming for quick energy. And your emotions? Totally unpredictable. The filter is just gone. Small, everyday annoyances suddenly feel like absolute catastrophes. You might catch yourself randomly laughing, crying, or snapping with anger way more easily than normal. Now, pushing even further, we hit the 48-hour mark. That is 2 full days without a single second of sleep. At this stage, your brain isn't just tired anymore. It is functioning under a state of severe, intense biological stress. And it actually starts taking matters into its own hands just to protect itself. This brings us to a frankly terrifying biological phenomenon at 48 hours called microsleeps. So what are these? They are tiny, involuntary episodes where your brain simply shuts down and falls asleep for just a few seconds. And the scariest part? This can happen even if your eyes remain completely open. You usually have absolutely no idea that these microsleeps are even happening. You think you're awake and alert, but your brain is totally offline. This right here is exactly why driving or operating machinery while you're severely sleep deprived can be instantly deadly. Alongside those super dangerous microsleeps, the 48-hour decline brings a whole host of other debilitating problems. Your memory gets even worse. You'll probably notice your speech becoming slower, maybe even slurred, as your brain just struggles to find the right words. Your physical coordination gets exceptionally poor, making you super clumsy. Basically, everyday actions, things you usually do on pure autopilot, like tying your shoes or making a sandwich, suddenly feel like incredibly difficult, complex puzzles that require massive amounts of concentration. Okay, we've finally arrived at the last marker on our descent, the 72-hour mark.
3 full days with zero sleep. This is the stage where the exhaustion completely transcends just physical fatigue, and the very fabric of reality itself begins to change for the person experiencing it. At 72 hours, your brain is under such immense, crushing duress that many people begin to experience outright hallucinations. Say because your brain has been denied the opportunity to dream during REM sleep for so long, it essentially starts forcing a dreamlike state while you're wide awake. You might start hearing voices that aren't there, you might see objects just materialize out of thin air, or, very commonly, mistake fleeting shadows in the corner of your eye for actual people. Your brain is desperately struggling to distinguish objective reality from its own imagination. Because of this, people can become severely paranoid and deeply confused. And all the while, your immune system is just crashing, making it incredibly hard to fight off even the most minor infections.
So, seeing all of these catastrophic failures happening in the body and the brain, it naturally leads us to a pretty dark but totally valid question. Can you actually die from not sleeping? Like, is sleep deprivation all on its own a lethal condition?
To answer that, let's think about this. We know the human body can remarkably survive for weeks without food. It can survive for a few days without water. But sleep is a totally different kind of biological necessity. There's actually no exact number of days after which a healthy person will die solely from a lack of sleep under normal circumstances. And why is that? Because the drive to sleep is so overwhelmingly powerful that your body will eventually just force you to fall asleep, even against your absolute strongest willpower. Your brain will literally knock you out to save your life. However, there is one tragic exception that really proves just how absolutely vital sleep is for our survival. There's this extremely rare genetic disorder called fatal familial insomnia. Just like the name suggests, this condition prevents sufferers from sleeping almost entirely. Because the brain and body are indefinitely denied their maintenance window, the condition causes severe progressive neurological damage over time, and sadly, it is ultimately fatal. Now, fortunately, this disorder is extraordinarily rare, but it serves as a really stark, undeniable reminder of sleep's critical role in keeping us alive.
Why sleep is essential. The nightly repair. Let's quickly look at what's actually supposed to happen when things go right. When you actually do sleep, you're giving your brain the green light to perform a crucial deep cleaning process. Step 1 is the removal of toxic waste products that actively build up in your brain cells while you're awake. Step 2, your daily experiences and memories are systematically organized and filed away for long-term recall. Step 3, your muscles, which have been strained all day long, get flooded with restorative compounds so they can repair themselves. And finally, Step 4, vital hormones that control your growth, metabolism, and immune function are carefully and precisely balanced. When you cut your sleep short, you're interrupting every single one of these systems, causing them to slowly break down over time. The main takeaway from all of this is incredibly simple. Sleep is not a luxury. It's really not something you can just optimize away to squeeze in a few extra hours of productivity or screen time. It is literally one of the most foundational biological processes required to keep your brain sharp, your body resilient, and your mind functioning rationally. I want to leave you with this powerful thought. Your body can postpone many things. Sleep isn't one of them. The next time you find yourself tempted to sacrifice your rest for just one more episode or just one more hour of work, think back to the timeline we just explored. Your body's maintenance systems absolutely require that downtime. And trust me, they will collect their debt one way or another. So ask yourself, are you truly willing to trade your fundamental health and sanity for a temporary distraction? Thanks for joining us for this explainer. If you enjoyed learning about the incredible science of the human body, be sure to subscribe for more fascinating anatomy and health deep dives every week.